Nintendo, responsible for such classics like Super Mario Bros. And The Legend of Zelda. Nintendo was a part of many people's childhoods, especially 80s and 90s kids. You'd walk down the street back then and hear people whistling the classic Mario music or the Zelda overworld music. Some may say that Nintendo is the king of the 80s video game era. Nintendo was actually founded on September 23, 1889 by Fusahiro Yamauchi, and it was originally made to produce handmade Hanafuda playing cards that eventually became the #1 brand in Japan. However, in the 1960s, they shifted their focus onto toys. Their toys were very popular, starting with the Ultra Hand. The Ultra Hand was the most popular Nintendo toy that was released. The toys were short-lived as they only lasted a couple of 30 years or so. Nintendo was pretty much done with toys and decided to go for the video game market. After the TV Game Colors and the Game & Watches, they decided to release the Famicom. As we know it here in the States, the Nintendo Entertainment System, more commonly known as the simple NES. After the major success of the Famicom in Japan, they aimed to get it to the States. That was the most challenging part, however, as the video game crash of 1983 just occurred. The NES was test released in New York. However, video games weren't being accepted by retail stores, so Nintendo came up with a pretty clever solution. Meet the robotic operating buddy, or as people like to call him, Rob. Rob was designed to look like a toy. Why? Not just to appeal to young children, but to sneak the NES into toy aisles. Yeah, this is the same Nintendo that takes down fan games. But this marketing trick turned out to be very helpful, as the NES was bought by people all over New York. The NES got more and more popular, so Nintendo released it nationwide, and it was a big success. In fact, it saved video games. If it weren't for the NES, video games wouldn't exist in the States for a much longer time. Back at Nintendo, they were swimming in profits. However, there did come challengers such as Sega. Sega released the Master System, but to no avail. It was successful in Europe, it even outsold the NES over there. However, in the States and Japan, it was a failure. However, Sega did have a master plan up their sleeve, but we'll save that for another time. Back to the NES. Nintendo saw huge success with the NES, but it was time to let go of it eventually. So, in 1995, after 10 years of being on the market, it was discontinued. That is the end of the NES's story until late 2016, when Nintendo announced that they would be remaking the NES and the SNES, but in a smaller, more compact form factor, with HD features and 30 games built in, until they too were discontinued just a few years ago. So what did we learn? So basically, the NES was Nintendo's kick to start making video games, and that the NES was the winner of the third generation console wars. If it weren't for Nintendo and the NES, video games would not be where they are right now. They wouldn't even be here in the States until, I don't know, like 1986 or something. But if you enjoyed this video, leaving a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated. But for now, I'll see you in the 16-bit generation. Goodbye.